Hello everyone and welcome to Campus Channel. I'm here with CENTRALESUPELEC and we're going to be talking about their Master of Science and Technology in Space Business Strategy. In order to talk about it, I have the pleasure to welcome the academic director of this MSc&T, Thomas Garnier, and one of his students, Apolline Horn. She is also a business developer at Space Locker. They're both here to answer my questions, but first we're going to start with the pitch. The pitch is a 60-second talk in which, Thomas, you're going to have to tell me everything I need to know about your program. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Then I'm listening.
Okay, so the MSc-SBS, as we call it, it's a nickname, is a program that leads to several jobs that are essential to the space market today, that are non-technical, rather non-technical, in order to develop the business, develop the people, develop the products. We want to adapt to all the non-technical aspects of the market as well, so business, law, contract law, policy, space sustainability. And I think we can see it as a micro MBA for the space sector, which is also very, very coherent if you go into aerospace or naval or defense.
All right, thank you. Micro MBA. Well, let's see how we get in. 3 admissions. Thomas, do I need to be an astrophysician in order to apply to this master's?
Well, you can be, but you don't need to be.
Right.
The program is very much open to a lot of backgrounds. So you can be an engineer, you can come from a business background, a humanities background, even communication. You can come from law, you can come from hard science, humanities, as I said. It's very much open. We want to gather people who are here to integrate the space market at any level of expertise. You can also be a professional wishing to shift your career or upgrade your job title, and you can come back and still work in your company because we're a part-time master's.
What was your academic background, Apolline?
I come from a technical background, so I did 3 years of engineering studies at King's College London, specializing in general engineering, which is a very open field. But I've always wanted to specialize into space, so this is why I chose to do this master's. And
if you had to talk about the cohort, the rest of the students, would you say they have rather the same academic background as you do, or different ones? They have the same academic background as I do currently. They come from engineering, but from different topics of engineering. But I truly believe by being in the master's that it can be followed by students with different backgrounds, technical or non-technical. In the admission process, you ask for a portfolio of past projects and experiences and a resume?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Basically, your portfolio is going to support your resume or your LinkedIn page by showing us a bit more of all the very hardcore projects that you did, and that represents who you are as an academic or a professional. So we asked this in order to let some space for applicants and tell us a bit more, show us pictures, show us data, so we can see where they went through before they applied, and we have a better idea of who they are.
All right. What did you show during your application?
I created a portfolio that was, I think it's a very personal thing. I added some projects, for example, my bachelor thesis, some technical project that I have done in engineering school, but I've also added some personal project, like the fact that I did some podcast or some charity work. And I think when you really put your personality into the portfolio, that's when the admissions office can really see what kind of candidate you are.
Right, so it's not just about space. It could be about anything else that will make you who you are.
And it allows you to stick out from the crowd, basically. Show us how particular you are compared to another candidate.
All right, 2 letters of reference.
Yes.
Who should I ask to write those letters in order to be the most efficient in my application?
Probably someone who knows you well on an academic side. Yeah, academic side, or maybe someone who was your working with you in a company in a previous work placement, maybe a colleague from one of your previous degrees that worked on a project with you. Anyone that can vouch for the professional you are and the academic value that you have.
All right, who did you ask?
I asked my personal tutor in my previous studies, which is the person who followed me for 3 years, and I also asked my internship tutor from another internship before this master.
So that people can understand the level of excellence that is required for this program, what kind of students were you when it comes to marks, or when it comes to complementary that teachers could have with you?
I know that for this master they didn't particularly ask for marks, because you can be an engineer and you can do business, but personally in my studies in the UK, which is a different grading system, I achieved a 2-1 honors in my bachelor's.
Well, 2-1 is
Yes.
good marks. It's good marks. What kind of questions should one expect during the interview? Because you had to go through the admission process and you had the interview. What kind of questions were you asked?
I was asked to present myself, to present my background, and the most important thing was to be able to explain why I was interested by this master's and about my career goals and what I wanted to achieve after this master's, so that they can have an idea of what kind of professional aspiration I had. So I was asked about kind of like the space sector, if I was more interested into space law, space finance, and really to get to know what kind of candidate I was.
And no trick questions? Not like if you were an animal, or if you were, I don't know, a spaceship, what kind of spaceship would you be? No, it's just like plain and simple, and you just have to make sure that you have enough knowledge when it comes to the space industry to get through that interview?
I would say that you don't particularly need to have that much knowledge. You don't have to know everything, but you have to show that you're really interested and that it's a topic that you want to grow in.
All right, so show your motivation, and
Yes.
that especially your knowledge. That would be the first cliché that would debunk here. And for the other ones, let's move on to the clichés. Clichés are about preconceptions, ideas that someone might have before applying, once you've applied. When it comes to the space industry, CENTRALESUPELEC, I don't know, you name it, Thomas, what would be your cliché?
Well, a very common cliche about the space sector is that it's reduced to technical people, engineers, scientists. And I would say that it's not, obviously, because any company needs a lot of other jobs as well in order to succeed. And especially in this master's, we value a lot all the stuff that's non-technical. Of course, if you have a technical background, it's perfect, it's fine. But we tend to look for people who are very mature in the way they behave, in the way they think of their path, their professional path. So they have, like Apolline said, to be able to explain in depth why they apply, what they want to do after the masters or through the masters. And so I think the market is very, very open to this, because we built the curriculum with companies that are going to be the next jobs that those candidates are going to have, and they all told us that the market really needed that kind of student that could have a very strong cultural background in space, knowing about space products, so rockets, satellites, space data, space done from Earth observations, etc. But they really needed people to be able to talk about business, products, development, strategy, entrepreneurship, assistance to entrepreneurships and CEOs, law, contract law, how to do business with another country, etc. And this requires a lot of technical background, but not necessarily some technical skills that you would have gotten from scientific or engineering studies.
All right, so I'm not the technicians like speaking. I'm just more like
you have to be a geek.
You have to be a geek?
A space geek.
Space
but you
geek?
can be a space geek coming from a business school.
All right, thank you. That makes it. Apolline, what would be the cliché that comes to your mind?
The cliché that I've heard the most during my studies, and even being in the space sector, like from people asking me, was like, is it difficult, or is it a sector that is closed to have women in it? And is it very a male-dominated sector? And what I would say to that is that it's a very open sector. It's very welcoming, and that everybody can work on it. It's open to everyone, and personally, I don't feel discriminated or anything, which is something that's super important to communicate.
Would you say women are well represented in your cohort or in your MSc?
I believe that it's well represented, but in a way that for now we're a very small cohort, but I really believe that as it grows, we will be well represented in the cohort.
All right, so if you're a woman and you're a geek when it comes to the space industry, that MSc&T is made for you. Let's move on and let's see what's going to happen through the program. Thomas, can I work at the same time as being part of this program?
You can. You don't have to, but you can. We give you the opportunity. So the program is built up on 1 week of taught lectures, 1 week of work placement or work experience. So you can be doing a work placement, you can have a contract, you can be working in a company, you can be an executive and have an actual job that you had for several years, go part-time and come study. Or you can wish not to, or you can not find the right work placement for you, and then you'll be given an academic project related to entrepreneurship and product development.
No pain, no gain, Apolline, and I guess that the schedules that you might have must be quite heavy when it comes to like having a professional life, a student life, and a personal life. What does it look like, your schedule?
It's quite busy, it's quite hectic, but the thing is that when you do something that you love so much and so it's very focused on the sector that you love, well, I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed or anything because I love going to work. It's passionating. The courses and the classes are amazing because they're oriented towards the goals that I want to achieve. So I never feel overwhelmed by going to school. I never feel overwhelmed by going to work because I can see how useful it would be for me in the future.
And objectively, what would be the amount of work, as in like, when it comes to hours, or how do you make sure that you have enough time for your homework, the work at school, the work at the company? What's the schedule like when it comes really to like hours?
In terms of hours, I would say that we have about 6 hours of class per day in a normal day, so you still have time when you go home to work on personal projects. And also I would say that what is key in this organization is to be focused on your schoolwork when it's a week of school and be focused on your professional work when it's a week of when you're in the company, because when you start mixing the two, that's where it can go wrong. But if you keep this organized, it's very great.
All right, so being organized. Do you have any partnerships with famous companies, Thomas?
We don't have structural partnerships, but a lot of them do give lectures in the program. So you have a lot of well-known companies such as Thales, CNES is doing, so CNES, the French space agency. You have Airbus, you have MBDA, you have a lot of startups, Latitude, which is a well-known one, Astro, an English company. You have a lot of people who really value the positioning that we've had in this program. Lots of them have actually asked if they could take our candidates as interns. So it's a program that's very well recognized by our partners on the market, and I think they're waiting for the cohort to grow so that they can hire more.
All right, and do your teachers have also jobs within the sector?
Yes, I would say that 95% of them are actually professionals within the sector, used to teaching because they teach in other degrees as well, but most of them do have a current job in the company, yeah.
The full name of the program is the MSc, Master of Science and Technology in Space Business Strategy, Entrepreneurship and Sustainability by Design.
Yes.
What makes it a sustainable program?
Well, I think we're one of the first programs I know that wanted to have a massive shift on space sustainability. Obviously, anyone who's a geek in the space sector today or a professional knows that we have a massive issue with space debris and space pollution. And the technology that we have today doesn't cover or doesn't cope with the amount of stuff that we're sending up there and the amount of debris created. So it is a problem, and it's not even a problem, it's sort of a societal issue that everyone in the companies need to address, not only the engineers who design new products like satellites going to grab another bit of junk, but also all the people making decisions. Okay, when you have a business decision, we want people to think sustainable. When you have an entrepreneur's decision to open up a new business unit or product, we want them to think sustainable. So that's why we have an enormous module about space sustainability here, which is being addressed by several sub-modules, I would say. So looking at the debris, knowing where they are, and doing some traffic management for satellites, understanding how to design new products, rockets, satellites, in a sustainable way in order to clear space, but also in order to provide data for sustainability on Earth. So sustainability works both ways. Space is useful for Earth, and Earth has to do something for space not to be, clogged like it is.
Do you still have time to have fun, Apolline? How is the atmosphere in this MSc&T?
The atmosphere in the MSc&T is really great, and it's great to be able to be in the Central campus. There's a lot of different students. The facilities are great. You still have time to do sports, to have fun, and the people in the cohort have been well selected, so I would say that we all get along, and it's a really nice environment.
So there's a way for students to be part of students' organizations if they wanted to?
Yes, yeah, right,
definitely. So you're fully integrated to the social life of CENTRALESUPELEC?
Yes.
All right, so you can have fun and work and become a space geek as well. Well, you were one before you applied. I guess that a picture speaks more than 1,000 words, and that's why we're going to see Who Am I? Who am I? 3 people I will introduce you to, and you will tell me which one, according to you, stands the most for your program. The 3 people, here they are, and I will tell you why I've picked them, but I'm sure you will know why. In the middle, Thomas Pesquet, well, he is a French aerospace engineer, a pilot. Well, you know who he is, I'm sure. I don't need to introduce you to him.
And an astronaut.
Pardon? And an astronaut, yes, obviously. Elon Musk, you maybe, I don't know, maybe you will create mini Elon Musk, I don't know, maybe that's the aim of this program. I don't need to introduce him neither. The one on the right, Wall-E, maybe I need to introduce him, I don't know. He's a small waste collecting robot left on Earth to clean up the abandoned planet covered in garbage. And he's a little robot with a big heart, and he was created in order to like save the planet. And well, I don't want to spoil the story, it's a masterpiece, I don't want to spoil it for you. But he's a robot that has a sustainable aim, which is to clean space and the planet in that movie. That's the reason why I've picked them, because that stands for space business, sustainability, and entrepreneurship, all of them. Which one would you pick, Thomas? Or maybe Apolline? Maybe Apolline, will you start?
It's kind of hard to pick between the 3, but I don't know if it answers your question if I say that it would be kind of a mix between Elon Musk and Thomas Pesquet, because in a way, Thomas Pesquet has, you can see it in all of his interviews and his project, he has this passion for the space sector, and it's really what drives him. So I would say that that's what you need to be in the masters. But at the same time, Elon Musk has this entrepreneurial mindset and this business mindset. So if you bring the 2 together, you can really get a sense of the master, as I would say.
Students of the master, all right?
Yeah.
Thomas?
I'm going to be bold and go for Wall-E.
Oh, thank you. That's my favorite.
Because Wall-E is probably the one that has the best conscience and abilities to clean space and to clean stuff in general, because he obviously doesn't need to breathe. But it's interesting because in the Masters, we also introduced the subject of AI in space, which is a thing that is very much under development for many companies and researchers. And I think the automatization of processes for satellites interacting together, assembling together, doing things with our astronauts or pilots from the ground is clearly something happening right now in the sector. And tomorrow, I think we'll have robots being able to clean either space or maybe the Earth, so with a bit of AI in it. Sustainable AI, of course.
Yeah, that would be good, to start with the Earth.
I'll go for Wall-E. I hope we can create the people that get us the real Wall-E to clear space.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
Was the sustainability like an important matter for you when you applied to this MSc?
I think it was really an important matter because when I was studying in London, I really got a sense of the importance of sustainability because it was a big part of my program, even though it was purely engineering. So that's what I was looking for when applying to a master's in space. And even now when applying to companies and when actually working at a company, I can truly see how big of a subject it is in the space sector, and I don't think it's talked about enough. So it was really an important thing for me when it came to deciding on my master's.
Oh, we talked about becoming a mini Elon Musk, but really what those 2 students really become, that's what we will see through after. Thomas, what makes you a good director for this master's?
That's a very tricky question. I think I just really want to do it, and I've got a vision for it that is understandable by my colleagues who came and are now lecturers in the Masters. And I think I'm really passionate about education in general. I've got young kids, I'm passionate about their education and all the methods that we can develop for them. I'm passionate about languages as well, that's why we wanted to create the Masters in English. And so it's the 3rd Master I created and lead, so I've got 2 others. And I think each of them is very special in its own way, but this one has a very special position for me and for the market as well, because it assembles a lot of things that talk to me. I've been an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur before, and I very much believe in sustainability for space. And being a space engineer by craft, you know, it just gathers up everything I liked, and I'm really happy to be able to bring that to students and to allow them to basically follow the program that I would have liked to follow when I was a student, and I just created it for them.
And you're probably a space geek as well.
I'm trying to be. I'm not as big as others, but I'm trying to.
All right. What would be the main difference between the teachers that you've encountered through your studies and the one that you've encountered at Supelec?
The main difference, I say the striking one, is that the teachers at CENTRALESUPELEC, they come directly from the industry, and it makes a huge difference when you're actually in the courses, because they talk with experience, they give you examples, they are currently doing what you aspire to be doing. So it's really motivational, and they are in the sector, and it's a really close sector. Also, the space sector is, by being at CENTRALESUPELEC and having students from the industry, I have noticed that my knowledge of the space sector network has only grown.
If you had to convince a company to hire one of your students, what would you say?
I would tell them that they have the opportunity to hire one of the only junior professional who will be a leverage of growth with a conscience. Okay, so we want to create people who are going to have a massive impact on products, on teams, taking the company to a higher level. Being an entrepreneur or not, we don't put that pressure on them, but they can if they want to, because we have a lot of entrepreneurship. But definitely it's a profile that usually companies meet later in career, and they have to hire them from other companies once you've done 5-10 years of engineering and or business. And we want to create young people who start their career with that baggage, and clearly the companies are very interested because it doesn't exist on the market right now.
All right, so that's basically what you will become. Do you know what you want to do afterwards? Yet? I know it's a very, you just started, but like...
Yes, it's a complicated question, but I think that afterwards what I want to be is to be a leader in space project, any kind of space project, whether it be entrepreneurship or in a company. And even by starting my job at Space Talker, I can see I'm going towards that goal by having more knowledge about the business side of the space sector.
We mentioned many companies and your professional project. I would say, apart from NASA and SpaceX, where will your students go afterwards?
Well, they can go anywhere they want. That's the whole point of the Masters. So we have a lot of lecturers and projects which are well adapted to large groups, international groups or French groups. Obviously, we have a lot of lecturers from agencies as well, because the programs are led in a very specific manner in space agencies like ESA, NASA or CNES. But we do want to allow them to understand what's happening in a startup or a scale-up, so a startup that's raised a lot of money and that's developing really rapidly. So they can basically do what they want, and since the market is in need of more professionals for the space sector, they're going to be able to decide where they go, which is a really good situation to be in.
It's quite a good situation to be in, actually. Yeah. Are you in contact with alumni students or with people from the alumni network from CENTRALESUPELEC? Have you ever had the chance to be in contact with them and to see how good, or to test the quality of this alumni network?
It's the first Masters that Central develops around space. So there's no massive space or aerospace networks of alumni. But I'm an actual alumni from Central, and I've seen, if I give you an example, building up this Masters and curriculum, I've seen the network at work, and it's very powerful. There's a massive brand with Central in France, and the people are really proud to be in the alumni network. And anyone who was from Central, who have asked for coming to give lectures or giving me introductions, has been really, really helpful, and I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. So it is a very, very close-knit network, and I think they're going to understand it once they get into companies and start using it as a professional network.
So you need to be graduated first to really attest and feel it. So you're French, but you're an international student since you've worked and you've studied in King's College, for example. How do you help international students with visas, with accommodation, those who don't know the French system?
We do have a whole dedicated team to help the international students who want to apply. So we're going to be helping you for visas, we're going to be helping you find an accommodation, understand the cost of life around Paris, since CENTRALESUPELEC is located near Paris in France. It's a very, very nice team actually. Apolline was able to interact with them a little bit, even if she's French. But we do have a program manager as well on the Masters, who's not here today, Marie-Pierre, whose job, just like mine, is to make the students feel welcome and to ease the process of them coming here. So there will be no problem whichever country you come from.
So Thomas mentioned that you've been in contact with the international students.
Yes, the Student Welcome Office.
The Students Welcome Office, thank you. Yeah. How did they help you? What did they do for you exactly?
Well, as their name says it all, they're very welcoming, and they've helped me with my application process, with my fees process and everything. And I know they've helped other people in my cohort to find an apartment very quickly, and even if they didn't know Paris. And it's a very welcoming team, and they can answer all of your questions. So
what's going to be the welcome student office?
The welcome student desk, sorry.
The welcome student desk, all right. Right now you're an intern at Space Locker?
Yes.
Did CENTRALESUPELEC help you find this internship?
I had a lot of leads from CENTRALESUPELEC, and also my program director really helped me to apply to companies, give me leads like I think this company will be interesting, etc., etc. So it was really helpful to have insights from CENTRALESUPELEC to find my internship.
All right, so not only CENTRALESUPELEC will help you find an accommodation, they will also help you find a company to have an apprenticeship in, and for the rest, it's time to extra time. Two minutes in which you can say something that we haven't said yet, or maybe you want to highlight something that we've already said. Apolline, I will let you start. What would be your conclusion of this interview?
My conclusion would be that I'm very glad that I joined the Masters, in the sense that I truly saw a shift between what I knew before about the space sector and what I know now, even if it's only been 2 months. I've been able to grow my network in the space sector, to grow my knowledge of the business sector, which I didn't know about before since I was doing engineering. And I feel like every time I go to class and learn something new, that I will be able to use it for the next week in the company. So it's really rewarding to have a sense of purpose in what you're doing in class and at the company, and see it all linked together.
All right, thank you, Apolline. Thomas?
Yes, if I may add a few things after
Obviously.
my pitch. I think what we tried to do is to mirror the changes that are happening in the space sector. They've been happening for a few years now, but there's a massive amount of new companies being created, small companies becoming big, and there's a lot of need for professionals who are passionate about that field. Okay, and we wanted to have a very hands-on approach as well. So there's a lot of project work, there's a lot of case study work. So I mean, we could say we're a tiny bit less academic than usual scientific masters, and we really value the fact that the students are projecting themselves into real-life situations with lecturers coming from companies in between themselves in academic work, and that's what we're trying to transmit. That's why we're trying to give them, because we know the companies are waiting for that behavior, you know, that maturity of behavior. And that's the aim we have, that's the aim we had when we built the syllabus and when I hired the lecturers as well.
Well, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Apolline. Thanks to the two of you for answering all my questions. As you've understood, if you want to become a mini sustainable Elon Musk and that you're a space geek, this program is made for you. It's called the Master of Science and Technology in Space Business Strategy, SBS for the nickname, at CENTRALESUPELEC. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon on Campus Channel.